Disclaimer: the following video that you're about to view only contains audio only, as it's from a wrestling internet radio show. If you are looking for wrestling video footage, you will not find that on this video. This wrestling radio show may contain strong language that may be offensive to those under the age of 18. If you are under the age of 18, please get permission to listen to this episode. Enjoy, comment, and subscribe.
Hold one. Arm drag. Whoa! This is
Brett screws Brett.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Brett screws Brett.
hold two. Arm bar.
Hey, get a nice shot of the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Hunter Hurst Helmsley.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate your hat. I hate your t-shirts. I hate your wristbands. I hate your shoes. I hate your music. I hate the C Nation. I hate everything that you stand for.
Sodas rule. Yeah, they do.
Hold three. The moss-covered, three-handle family Gradunzo.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
And what's up, guys? How's everybody doing tonight on Friday night? It is a special edition of the RCWR Post Show, coming at you live right now on November 16th, 2012, 1 minute past the 11 o'clock hour. We are kicking back over here, and we are gearing up for a pretty fantastic wrestling weekend as the 26th annual of WWE Survivor Series is going to be coming to us live from Indiana. You can only see it live on pay-per-view, but that's not what we're going to be talking about tonight. However, we will give you some quick programming notes, let you know what all we have in store for this weekend with regards to covering that respective pay-per-view. Tonight's post show is going to be covering the pay-per-view from Shine Wrestling, as it was Shine 5, where Awesome Kong had made her return to the ring after being away from wrestling for just a little bit over a year. For those of you that were not able to check out tonight's pay-per-view from Shine Wrestling, we've got you covered. Of course, as always, we have the chat room that is open right now in case you wish to participate in the discussions of what all had happened at the pay-per-view. We are more humbly welcome you to call into the show if you had happened to check out tonight's pay-per-view. Otherwise, if you were in a position where you didn't happen to order it, it was something that just flew right over your head, no problem. We have you covered over here. Now, this pay-per-view, it almost had went by my head, but I was paying attention to the wrestling headlines all during the week. And, of course, as we always report the latest in wrestling-related news at our website at InfinityOneProductions.com, we did report that Awesome Kong was going to be making her return to this pay-per-view. And I was a little bit on the fence about ordering the pay-per-view because I thought for surely I was probably going to read the results, but it was kind of one of those things where you're looking it up online amongst the wrestling community. There really wasn't that much buzz about this pay-per-view, and that just kind of got me a little bit curious even more. And usually on a Friday night, I am kicking back, I am watching SmackDown, I am gearing up for the shows that we put out on the weekend, but this time around, I didn't even watch SmackDown. I said, you know what, let me check out this Shine 5 Wrestling and let me see what this is about. I am a huge fan of women's wrestling, and as far as I'm concerned, I have always been that type of guy that has always gone on record many times and said that female wrestling, it needs to have that spotlight that it truly deserves, especially when the women, they know how to put on a really great, fantastic match. And that's exactly what we had got tonight from Shine Wrestling. And, folks, I was just really blown away by this pay-per-view. So blown away, I have a special announcement that we are going to let you guys know about towards the end of the show. So without any further ado, we've teased you guys long enough. Let's go on ahead and let's talk about Shine 5 Wrestling. And once again, feel free to jump in the chat room right now on blogtalkradio.com. We have it open right now. We'd love to hear from you. If you had saw the pay-per-view, feel free to call in. You can do so by hitting us up at 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. You can also interact with us during the course of this show right now by hitting us up on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. You can also hit us up on Facebook at InfinityOneProductions.com. All right, so let's have at it right now. So we got to kick it off by who was our ring announcer for the majority of this Shine 5 pay-per-view that was coming to us from Ybor City in Florida, I believe. It was none other than the Gothic beauty herself, Miss Daphne. And for those of you that don't know Daphne, you need to do a little bit of homework at your end. I said Gothic. There's your key clue right there. But Daphne, she has been around the block in the wrestling circuit quite a few times, made her way through WWE there for a little bit, even did a little something in TNA there briefly. She was the special ring announcer, and the type of setting that we had this pay-per-view, it was in some type of a sports bar, and Daphne was just helping herself to the drinks for like a great majority of this pay-per-view. And it was really funny because it just seemed like as the night had progressed, Daphne was just getting more and more and more. I don't know, she came off more intoxicated, and she was just saying these zippy, crazy one-liners. I really think she had like an open tab with the bar. I think she was just really going to the head quite a few times with some of the drinks she was having, but really great atmosphere. You know, surprisingly, somebody had actually brought one of their kids to this place. I mean, the kid had to have been at least 5, 6, 7 years old, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, not exactly the type of place you want to bring a kid that young to, as this is really geared towards adults. I can't stress that enough, and that's what made this pay-per-view even more badass. Daphne, though, she is doing all the introductions for the competitors. And in the first match, we had saw Sassy Stephie take on Heidi Lovelace, and I was really liking this match as a solid opener. It was really good because, and I should let you know before we go any further, I will have you know, and I will go on record, I have never ordered a Shine pay-per-view before, so a lot of these women that I saw tonight, for me, I was seeing for the very first time, with the exception of a few. A lot of them I really was not familiar with, and it was a welcome feeling because it was nice to be able to just kick back and really be able to embrace this pay-per-view from just a wrestling fan standpoint and just not know any background on any of these competitors, nothing, just running blind, okay? And as I said, first match, Sassy Stephie versus Heidi Lovelace. This match, as I said, great strong opener that we saw for this. And these two women, they were just locking it up. And, I mean, you were seeing scissor takedowns. You know, the thing that was really jumping out at me for this match, we saw Sassy just keep focusing on Heidi's hair, and she just kept pounding her head into the canvas, dragging her through in the ropes. I mean, it was just really nice, really ugly. We actually saw Sassy Stephie pick up the victory right there. She delivered her trademark finisher, Kiss My Sass. to end the contest right there, and she scored her first victory ever in Shine Wrestling, as this was her first match. The second match that we saw of the evening was the lovely Nia take on Marti Belle, and you know, Nia, that little hot mamacita, man, homegirl has some serious curves on her. Let me tell you guys, if you have not seen Nia, I mean, she is thick in all the right places. And that was pretty much one of the main themes that was going on during the course of tonight's pay-per-view. A lot of these female wrestlers that I was seeing, they did not look bony at all. They had some hips. They had some nice shape to them. They did not look like they were starving themselves. Something that you can't help but kind of notice when you turn on other wrestling promotions such as WWE or TNA or Ring of Honor. The women all seem to have this one particular type of look, and all the women that were in this pay-per-view tonight, I mean, big, tall, wide. I mean, it didn't matter. You got a little bit of everything. But the lovely Nia, she really took my breath away, like that song that plays in the Top Gun movie. I mean, she was just, And Marti Belle was another one. And, you know, the name of this match was basically grabbing on Marti Belle's hair day. That was pretty much it, because Nia seemed like every time you turn around, Nia kept going for Marty's hair. You know, I'm kind of looking at this. I'm saying to myself, wait a minute here. Nia's the one with more hair. It's coming all the way down to her butt almost. Shouldn't she be the one that should be having her hair grabbed? What the hell is going on here? And, you know, that wasn't the case, but Nia's strategy pretty much for this whole match, she just kept going for the hair. And what was really impressive about this match, it wasn't as good as the first one, but what I just thought was impressive to me was seeing how thick Nia was and be able to do a cross body in between the ropes. That's right, just like what Rey Mysterio usually does when he's setting folks up for that 619. We actually saw Nia do a cross body through the ropes to Marti, and it was just really freaking impressive right there. And it was pretty much one of those type of matches where it had a few sloppy spots, but overall it was a decent match. Nia had won this contest with her finisher, the Tequila Sunrise. And I just love some of these original names that was coming from some of these finishers some of these women were doing. But Nia definitely made a huge impression on me. Let's take it up with our third match of the night, which was Su Yung as she took on Sojo Bolt. Now, for a lot of you guys that have been paying attention to your women's wrestling, Sojo Bolt, that name should definitely sound familiar to you guys. If I'm not mistaken, I believe she used to do a little bit of work down in WEW several years back off and on, WEW Women's Extreme Wrestling. That was one of my favorite promotions right there, and that's really one of the ways I remember coming across Sojo Bolt for the first time. If it's not the Sojo Bolt I am thinking of that was in WEW, that name sure is extremely close to it, because I do remember a female going by that same name that was popping up in WEW. I have to check out my archives, women's wrestling there. But great match between these two women, as we just saw both of these two girls, for the most part, applying hold for hold. I know we had saw Sojo Bolt. She kept rubbing in Young's face several times that, you know, she's pretty strong. She works out. And Bolt, you know, she was full sister. She is a big girl. I mean, she got some thick thighs, thick legs, you know, nice big arms, pretty thick right here. We had saw Su Yung pick up the victory. I was very impressive with Su Yung right here, because her offense, I mean, it is really a unique offense. And I was actually chatting with other people that were watching tonight's pay-per-view, and I was just paying a good majority attention to the matches, of course, but I was paying attention to what all they were saying, trying to get a really good read from them on a lot of these performers. And I know when it came to Su Yung, a lot of them, they spoke great praise about her. She was really looked upon as a fan favorite right here during this match. And a lot of them were talking about how great of a wrestler she is, and I was very impressed with what I had saw from her tonight. Truly very impressive, especially her finisher that she had did on Miss Bolt. I'm trying so hard not to say Sanjay Bolt, and I think you guys know exactly the reason why, because when you look at that name, you're saying to yourself, okay, is it Sojo or Sanjay? I'm saying the name right. It's Sojo Bolt. That's her name. But Su Yung, she did something that was very devastating to pick up the victory. She had grabbed the arm of Bolt. It was her left arm she grabbed, and she put her foot into the back of Bolt and just stretching her out there like almost she was trying to just break that arm, just pop it out the socket there. And she just did this devastating backdrop, and you could just hear a pop, and that's pretty much how Young was able to pick up the victory over Ball. It was a really great outing. I was more impressed with what I saw Young do as opposed to Ball. Let's pick it up now with our third match of the evening, and this particular match right here, this was one of my favorite matches of the night. And the reason why it was one of my favorite matches of the night is because we just saw some really crazy stuff involved in this match, which is none other than Nikki St. John versus Santana. And Santana, she had kicked things off doing a arm takedown. It was a great arm takedown, too. And she mainly had tried to focus on Nikki's arm for a little bit, and Nikki then was able to go on in with a series of shoulder tackles. She just kept going for the pin. Early on in this match, she was just scoring near falls, and they just kept going at it, back and forth, and we had ended up seeing Nikki have a few words with the referee at one point because she was just getting so frustrated scoring all these near falls. She's kind of under the impression maybe the referee just isn't counting fast enough, and we actually saw Santana come up from behind with a schoolboy pin, near fall right there. A little bit after that, we saw Nikki come from behind again, and she was able to deliver a finisher, and that got a near fall as well. Santana, she ended up doing something that's really unheard of when you think about wrestling today, which is not only did she do a handspring moonsault, but she was able to score the victory that way. This was a really brief match. My honest analysis of this match, I was kicking back watching it, it kind of felt very slow, just the pace of it. But then, like, right when it was starting to get really good, it was like, damn, the match is over. I really wish it could have went on for a few more minutes because out of all the matches of the card tonight, this particular match, it only lasted about maybe 7-8 minutes. Couldn't really sink your teeth into it that much, but it was, without a doubt, towards the end, it was really picking up. I liked how it was playing out. Let's go now to our fourth match of the night, which had saw Made in Sins, Allysin, Kay, and Taylor Made, as they had took on Leva and Kimberly. Now, the referee, not the referee, but the commentator, and unfortunately I did not catch his name, but I did hear a great majority of what all he was saying to Daphne, who was doing double duty. Aside from being a ring announcer, she was also doing color commentating. And apparently the backstory from what I was able to gather is it was very brief. and try sitting up and watching the pay-per-view, chatting with people, and you're also trying to sit up and write a review, because I was short-handed tonight, so I had to do everything in covering this respected pay-per-view. But from what I was able to gather, there was a original partner that Leva and Kimberly had, if I'm understanding it right, but unfortunately, and I believe her name is April. Unfortunately, April had got into some extracurricular activities, and as a result of that, she was not able to make it to tonight's pay-per-view. So we ended up seeing Kimberly come in place of April, and this was really a great freaking tag team match between these four girls. I mean, this was one of those type of tag team matches. I mean, one thing that jumped out at me, these girls were so damn good. I mean, they were like just doing a damn thing. I mean, they were wrestling for like at least a solid 20 minutes, okay? I have never heard, at least in this time, this day and age, I've never heard of female wrestlers doing it for 20 minutes in a tag match. And, I mean, they were just doing things that was just like, wow, that was pretty impressive. Like, one spot that I had really liked was seeing TaylorMade and Leva. They had did a series of clotheslines to one of the girls in Maiden Sin. And they just kept doing the clotheslines over and over and over again. It was kind of like they were just throwing each other into one of those girls, and they just kept doing that chain of clotheslines. And it was something kind of unprecedented, something that you don't really see today in your traditional style of tag team wrestling. And it was just one of those tag team matches that just had me blown away. Number one, they were girls, and then number two, I mean, they were really bringing it. I mean, they looked like they needed to be wrestling dudes. That's how impressive these girls looked, on top of being hot and gorgeous, okay? We actually saw the team of Made in Sin pick up the victory post-match. We see TaylorMade and Kimberly. They are sitting up, and they look like, oh, man, can't believe we just lost. And we see TaylorMade, she's kind of consoling Kimberly, letting her know, hey, it's okay. You know, we had a great outing. It's all right. We'll get them next time. We actually ended up seeing Kimberly snap, and she just started attacking TaylorMade, and she ended up applying a cloverleaf hold on her for a little bit before referees came in and they broke up the match, and she left the ring screaming, she's a winner. So very bitter that she had lost this match right here. Let's go now with our fifth match of the evening, which had saw Ivelisse take on Athena. Now, if that name, Ivelisse, sounds familiar to you guys, it should, because her whole name is Ivelisse Velez, and she was a contestant on WWE Tough Enough, but she was eliminated from the competition due to injury. Now, remember, later on, she ended up signing in late 2011 with WWE, and she had adopted the ring name Sophia Cortez. And remember, folks, she was down there in the developmental territory in FCW, and also had did a little bit in NXT for a bit, but she was released earlier this year. Now, WWE, they had really big, high hopes for her. They were looking at her to be a key centerpiece for their revitalized Divas division, but it looks like what had ended up happening with her was that the backstory that we're hearing now is that she kind of got a little bit too cocky. She was kind of rubbing people wrong, the wrong way, if you will, and as a result of that, WWE, they decided that they wanted to part ways with her. So since then, Miss Sophia Cortez, a.k.a. Ivelisse Velez, she's been testing out the independent circuit. And it was so funny right here because when she came out to get ready to do her thing wrestling the fans, they let her have it, and this was a really smart fans that we had in attendance here. Even though it was a sports bar and they were getting all drunk or whatever, it was a really smart crowd, because when they saw her come out, you could hear the chants, and it was more than like 5 people. They chanted, "You're not tough enough, bump, 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 bump. You're not tough enough." And you're like, ooh, damn. Like, they knew exactly where Sister was from. But nonetheless, we had this match that we had saw her in, as she had took on Athena. Athena, another fine sister that was just nicely shaped, built like a horse. I mean, just good, wearing her nice blue, yellow attire. Was really liking her choice of colors on this night. Ivelisse was wearing a nice, shiny burgundy red, and Ivelisse, she was pretty much acting like the heel in this match, as early on she sat up and she would try to poke around at Athena, and Athena, she was ready to drop her off the break, and we just kind of see Ivelisse kind of pull a Ric Flair moment. She kind of goes over to the ropes, quickly try to have the referee have Athena back off of her a bit, and Ivelisse, she's kind of dancing around her a little bit and tries to offer a handshake, but Athena isn't even having it, and pretty much these two girls, they just go right at it. And Athena was kind of like one of those power type of girls, that gives you an idea of how big she is, nice and slim, tiny in the waist. I mean, she's built just right everywhere, but she's, a powerhouse of a competitor. And Ivelisse's strategy for a good chunk of this match was focusing on Athena's arm, as she just kept coming in beautifully with left and right submission holds. And one point we even saw her try to bust out a cross arm breaker, and Athena, using that strength that she has several times actually, she tried to power her way out of these holds, but Ivelisse, she just kept slapping them on, and it was really awesome right here to see this. Now, towards the end of the match, we saw Athena, she finally got away from all those submission holds, and, we see her coming back, and I saw this really devastating finisher that Athena did that just had me go, what the hell did we just see? She calls it the old face or something like that. I'm not making these names up. You're probably listening to this, you're saying, what? Old face, that's the name of the finisher. And basically it was a maneuver where Athena is sitting on top of the ropes. And this is the setup, I'm describing it. We see Ivelisse, she's like frustrated towards the end of the match, and she has Athena in the corner. And she tries to prop her up onto the top turnbuckle. Looks like she's trying to go for a high-risk maneuver. We see Athena, she kind of struggles out of it a bit. Ivelisse, she's frustrated. She backs off. Then she tries to go for a running attack. And Athena was just able to just jump off the top turnbuckle and was just, it kind of looked like a modified version of a off of the top rope diamond cutter. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. A diamond cutter / stunner type of move. That's the best way I can describe it. But we saw Athena pick up the win. In the sixth match, this match, hands down, one of the best highlights of the night, aside from the tag team match. We saw none other than Jessicka Havok, and she had took on one of our friends on Twitter. We actually interact with her on a regular basis. We don't talk to her as much as we used to, or as much as I used to, as usually I'm the one that is mainly interacting with her, but we're good friends with her on Twitter. I know early on, when before the website had came together, before the radio show had came together, I was actually kicking back talking to Nikki, Roxx, in the wee hours of the night as she would be getting ready to jog and kick off her day, and it was always nice interacting with her. She was actually one of a few things that had kept me awake when I used to work a graveyard shift, so it was really nice seeing Nikki Roxx in the ring wrestling against this massive of a beast known as Jessicka Havok. And this match was just straight up freaking awesome. I mean, the way they were building up Havok, I mean, she was pretty much this. I mean, this sister stood at like 6'2", maybe 6'3". I mean, she was a tall drink of water. Homegirl was big. And Nikki, you know, of course, for those of you that are kind of like, Nikki, why does that sound familiar? Nikki Roxy, Nicole, the girl that used to wrestle in TNA Wrestling. She did a little something briefly there for the WWE, very briefly, but mainly she was a TNA competitor. Well, yeah, that Nikki is what I'm talking about, that Miss Roxy. Though we haven't seen her in a wrestling ring in quite some time, she was pretty phenomenal in this match. Now, last we saw her, you know, she had a little bit more body mass, but these days, as y'all probably might not be aware of, nowadays she is mostly focusing on being a fitness trainer, eating right, and she's been very successful at it as she's teaching other folks how to stay fit and eat healthy. And she definitely sacrificed some body mass going into this match. She was still in great shape, though. And this match just had me on the edge of my seat as I was checking it out. And these two girls, they were just going back and forth. And it was one of those type of matches where we just pretty much saw these women go outside the ring and they were brawling. We saw Havok ram Nikki into this pole that is part of the foundation of the building. So when you see that happen, you're like, damn. And then we see Havok just roll Nikki into the ring. She goes for a steel chair, tries to hit her with it, but the referee, he's like, no. You know, I'm not trying to disqualify you. No chairs allowed. Referee, he takes it out. But, you know, later on, we see both girls have a steel chair, and they end up trying to hit one another with it, but both of them, they don't connect. It's pretty much chair hits chair, so it, you know, kind of ricochets back onto themselves. And these two girls, they end up just brawling again outside the ring. And unfortunately, the match goes to the backstage area where cameras are not able to catch up. And the referee, he is counting in the meantime. And as a result of that, this match ends in a double countout. No winners, folks. But nonetheless, it was a really great match, and I actually had send a tweet to our good friend Nikki, say, you know, you had a really great match. It was really nice seeing you. Always awesome when you're in the ring, and I can't stress it enough. This was one of those matches for me personally, and I think for a lot of people that are fans with Nikki Roxx, they will have enjoyed this match because it was really phenomenal seeing her in there. All right, let's go now with our next match, and it is the main event of the evening, which sees Rain and Mercedes Martinez teaming up to take on the team of WWE, ECW alumni, ECW original, former WWF two-time women's champion, Jazz, team up with Awesome Kong. That's right, just after a year being away from wrestling, Awesome Kong made her return. Now, the name that she was being dubbed as when she made her return was Amazing Kong, and for a lot of you guys, you know that she was really originally running around with that name a lot in New Pro Japan Wrestling and all the other independent circuits. It was really nice to kind of see her kind of go back old school, bust out the Amazing Kong there. The question was asked, how's Amazing Kong? She hasn't been wrestling in a year plus. Is she back in full effect? Does she have any ring rust? Can she still do it? And though we only saw her briefly in this contest, Kong, she still knew how to throw it down. Let's pick it up with a majority of how this match went. Rain and Martinez, their strategy pretty much for a good chunk of the whole match was keeping Jazz separated from tagging in Awesome Kong. Now, we did see Jazz successfully tag in Kong for a little bit, and Kong did a little something with Rain, but we saw Kong tag back in Jazz, and then pretty much after that, the ball was in Rain and Martinez court as they pretty much had their way with Jazz. They did a lot of double teaming. They were distracting the referee, doing a few dirty moves. And at one point, we did see Jazz tag in Amazing Kong when she was able to, but the referee was not able to see it. So since the referee didn't see it, he felt Kong was illegal. So once again, Kong is outside looking in as Jazz is just trying to hold down the fort. And again, Rain, Martinez, they just continue to have at it. One point, critical point, Awesome Kong, she pretty much had enough of the double team, and she decides to just go on in there, and she does a double power bomb to both girls to then go back outside the ring. And that was pretty much the opening that Jazz had needed to catch a breather and was then able to tag in Kong as the referee was seeing all this. And pretty much once Kong was officially in the match, that's it. Stick a fork in it. The match was done. We saw Jazz come back. She focused on Rain as they took their attack outside the ring. Awesome Kong, in the meantime, she sat up and she delivered that trademark finishing maneuver. You guys know that move, that plant buster she had applied to Martinez to pick up the win for Jazz and herself. There you have it. After a year of being away from wrestling, Amazing Kong, a.k.a. Awesome Kong, picking up her first victory back in professional wrestling. You know, this was one of those pay-per-views just overall. I was very pleased with what I had saw, and I know we probably have a lot of listeners that have been checking out our show for a long time, and they probably are listening to this. Some of you, that is, are probably listening to this, and what all we had covered, it's unfortunately probably something that's just going over your head because you really don't know anything about some of these names that we're talking about. A lot of you might feel like, I'll come back when it's TNA or WWE-related stuff. I'm not really sure what's going on with this. Well, I was really impressed with what I had saw from Shine 5 Wrestling tonight, and I was so impressed with the pay-per-view that from here on out, we are going to be covering Shine 5 Wrestling. And, if you happen to be one of those type of wrestling fans, you like those indie promotions, you like those wrestling promotions where the females are really given their spotlight, they are able to kick back and they are able to do their thing. You don't want to see males wrestling, you just want to see the females go at it, whether you're a male or a female, and, you actually want to see women wrestle. Well, I can promise you this, going forward, we're going to be covering Shine Wrestling, and we're going to be covering them for the next few months, try a little experiment, see how our listeners like it, because what we're looking to do right now, we're looking to expand a little bit more and increase that wrestling fan base, because when it's all said and done, the true heart of a lot of these great matches, a lot of these great performers are really circling around in promotions such as Shine, such as Shimmer, even though they really don't do that many events anymore. WEW, Women's Extreme Wrestling, there's a lot of good indie wrestling promotions that's out there, and we're going to be partnering up with Shine 5 Wrestling We're also going to be hooking up with the Extreme Reunion. We're going to be spreading the good word for you guys to check out their pay-per-views whenever it comes out. But we are really dedicated to Shine 5 Wrestling, and the next event that they are going to be having won't be taking place until January 2013, and if I'm not mistaken, the next Shine pay-per-view, which will be Shine 6, it's not going to be happening until January 6th, and that's on a Sunday, folks. So we'll be doing a very special RCWR Post Show covering that. But overall, it was a really great pay-per-view. I can't stress it enough. You know, you want to talk about prices, and we can't stress this enough. You know, I ended up paying $10 for this pay-per-view that I was able to watch online and interact with a ton of people, a lot of people I was even able to make friends with. And you can't beat that. $10, you're watching a pay-per-view, no streaming problems whatsoever. You can't beat that. So highly encourage you to start investing in Shine 5, because this was really, when it's all said and done, hands down, some really great top-notch wrestling, female wrestling that we had saw from them tonight, and it looks really bright for them. I know they've only done 5 of these things so far, but they just seem to be stepping their game up. They definitely have me now wanting to check out their archives and see how the previous pay-per-views did. Of course, from here on now, you'll always be able to get the very latest on Shine 5 through our website at InfinityOneProductions.com. We'll also post updates on our Facebook page over at Infinity One Productions. And we've made it really easy for you guys to be able to check out all their pay-per-views. Also check out Extreme Reunion if that's your cup of tea. All you got to do is hop on over to our website, and you'll always know which pay-per-views they got coming up next, because we have a kick-ass banner that'll take you directly to them. And feel safe knowing that if you click on our link to take you to their respective pay-per-views, ordering them and everything, you don't have to worry about any redirections or spyware or anything like that. The banners that you see plugging Extreme Reunion, Shine 5, it is directly from them themselves at their respective website. So feel safe knowing when you click those links, nothing weird or funny is going to happen. But overall, can't stress enough, great pay-per-view. Highly encourage you guys to check it out when you get a chance. I believe they will be replaying it all this weekend. You'll also be able to buy it on DVD if you want. You can't sit up and stream it and order it on DVD. It'll cost you a cool $25. Not really too bad right there. But that's going to do it. All right, so programming note for you guys. We want to give you a heads up. This Saturday, we're going to be doing a special episode of the RCWR show where I'm going to be offering match predictions for Sunday's WWE Survivor Series. It's going to be really awesome. Highly encourage you to check that out. We're also going to have the very latest update on the card for Sunday, as there was a little bit of changes with the YouTube pre-show. We'll give you all the details, let you know the very latest information that we have as it'll be available. Also, be sure to check out the RCWR Post Show this Sunday, where we're going to be covering the fallout from WWE Survivor Series. If you're not able to check out the pay-per-view, no problem. We'll have you covered. We're going to have, as always, great live fan reactions, great overall analysis, takeaway of the event. It's going to be really freaking awesome. Make sure that you check it out. In the meantime, if you happen to be a TNA wrestling fan, do check out this past Thursday night's episode of Impact Showdown Radio, especially if you had missed our coverage of this past week's TNA Impact Live. Also backtrack if you had missed our Tuesday night episode of the RCWR show, where me and the lovely co-producer Tammy, we had got into a really in-depth discussion about WWE's use of the Jerry Lawler heart attack. You want to check that out. A lot of good things were said on that episode. Really, we did a pretty solid week of really great content. So backtrack when you get a chance. In the meantime, if you like what we did here covering Shine 5 Wrestling, hey, you're more than welcome to subscribe to us in the iTunes, Zune marketplaces just by using the keywords, the RCWR Show. If you're checking us out on Blog Talk Radio, all you got to do is just go to blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. You'll come across our profile page. When you click on it, you'll see an option to follow us. Follow it, and you'll always get alerts for every single time we get ready to do a show so that you never miss out. And if you haven't already, and you've been checking out our shows for a long period of time, be sure to leave a review for us in the iTunes marketplaces. It really helps a long ways. I can't stress it enough. If you like what we've been doing with our shows, leave an honest review. Let us know how we're doing, especially if you like the show, you support us. And, it really helps out a long ways because it helps get the show more recognized, more high up in the ranks so that other people will be able to come across it. Every day we keep getting the same comments, I wish I would have came across this show sooner. A lot of people, they stumble upon it. Well, we like to try to make it be easier for folks to find it. So when you get a chance, feel free, submit a review. You don't even have to type up a freaking essay. You can just speak from the heart and be like, hey, really awesome show. Make sure you check it out, and boom, you're done, hands down. That's going to do it for now. But the talk of wrestling, it never stops just because we're off the air. Do check out our website at infinityOneProductions.com for all the latest on wrestling-related news and so much more. And, folks, that is going to do it. Hope you enjoyed this special edition of the RCWR Post Show covering the fallout from Shine 5 Wrestling pay-per-view. We will see you this Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern for our coverage of the Survivor Series, as it'll be match prediction time on a Call That Match special. Till we hear from you all be safe and be kind to one another, folks. Have a great weekend. We'll see you later.